Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey, this is Dominick from Wicked Garden. You listen to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals and all you ghouls and goblins because it's really close to Halloween, but for me, it's Halloween every day, so 365 days a year. So anyway, get your Halloween on. We want to welcome Dominick Muzio. He is the lead vocalist and guitarist of Wicked Garden. Wicked Garden has released their debut album entitled Dystopian Leisure Music via Shock Records, and this is their debut on Shock Records, folks. And their debut single from the album, Already Gone, and newest single, Ask Me If I Care. These two songs are out right now, plus Ask Me If I Care is a tribute, but we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. So Dominick, man, welcome, and how's it going?
It's going really good, man. It's going very good. How you doing, man? I appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem. Doing awesome. Glad to have you on the show and get Wicked Garden out there some more. So let's jump right into this. How's it been working with Headfirst Entertainment for you guys?
It's been great, man. It's been really cool working with Dave and everybody because they kind of get us, you know. It's one of those situations where it's like, you know, nothing I've said or done, Dave went, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know.
Yet.
So, you know, we're kind of in tune, you know, with a lot of things, and they've been really supportive. They've been pushing the album a lot, which is really great. So yeah, man, it's been a fun time.
This is Wicked Garden's new album entitled Dystopian Leisure Music. In today's music world, some bands only put an EP or album out, then they're done. You know that just as well as I do. How does it feel to still be able to put an album out since so much has changed in the music industry? And I know you've been doing this for a while now, but how's it still to be able to put this out?
It feels great knowing that there's still people that want to invest in you, and I don't necessarily mean money-wise, although that's definitely part of it. You know, nowadays with the technology that we have, like literally anybody can put out a record at any time. I can grab my guitar right now, record something on my phone, mix it and master it, and within an hour it will be on Spotify. So I'm not saying that cheapens the experience, but like really when everybody can do it, then usually what's the point? You know, the thing I like about how it came about with us is very organic. You know, we were a cover band. We started playing original music. Some of our songs got out onto, you know, Facebook and on the internet, and it got passed around, and then we started, you know, talking to different record labels. And then finally, you know, the guys at Shock Records and got in the music group were like, "Hey, you know, we want you guys to put out a record." It was almost like it used to be, you know, back in the day. The only exception was nobody showed up to one of our shows smoking a big cigar in a limousine. You know, it was basically like, "Hey, let's go out for a cheeseburger and talk about this." You know?
Yeah, you're right. It's not those days of, you know, like you said, grab a cigar, come into my office, let's have a big chit chat.
Right.
It's like, let's go down to the pub, you know, grab a beer. Yeah. Let's go down to the pizzeria, grab some pizza, go over this.
That's literally what we did. Like Dave, who's our A&R guy, literally called us up. We talked on the phone a couple of times, and he said, "Hey, why don't we meet and talk about this?" And me and Sean, the guitar player, met Dave like at a place called Mulligan's, which is a fucking, you know, pub, like a golf-themed pub. We shared a plate of nachos and each had a beer and shook hands like an hour later.
And played some putt-putt golf. There you go.
Right.
Being a cover band for so long, when did you guys say, okay, look, we've done a cover band for a very long time. When did you guys want that niche to start creating your own music? When was it that time to say, okay, this is it, let's start doing our own thing?
The band in itself has been around about 8 years now. You know, this lineup has been together about 5. And it was discussed, but it was never really taken seriously because we all said, well, you know, if we did original music, we'd basically just be stroking ourselves. You know, like it's kind of self-indulgent. Nobody wants to see a bunch of middle-aged guys write songs, you know, and it wasn't, you know, it was toyed with, but we never did it. And something, you know, that people will learn about me is that if you ever want me to do something, tell me I can't do it. And we played a show one night, great show, packed. I was outside having a cigarette after the set, and this dude comes up to me. I've never seen this dude in my life. Haven't seen him since. And he just looked me in the eye and goes, you know, cover bands don't fucking impress me. If you want to impress me, write your own shit. I was like, all right, fucker, no problem. You know, so the next, you know, rehearsal, I brought it up and said, hey, why don't we just try it? I got a backlog of songs. We jammed on a couple of songs. They sounded pretty good. And the whole idea was never to make it an original band. It was like, we're going to do like one or two, you know, original songs just to prove we can do it, and that was it. But what happened was we debuted both songs in February of 2017 at a club out here called Counts Vamped, and somebody taped it. They filmed the show on Facebook. And they put it up, and it got shared, and that person shared it to that person, that shared it. And the next thing, like, it didn't go viral. There wasn't a million people looking at it. It was a couple thousand. But the right people saw it. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of indie record labels from the West Coast that saw it. And we started talking to them, and, you know, the original idea was like, all right, you know what, we'll put out an EP of 4 songs. And then it just kind of grew to this monster, and then we met Dave, and Dave's like, hey, if I'm putting anything out, I'm doing a full album, so I need you know, a whole album. We were like, shit, okay. So it just kind of went from there.
Here's my thing, though, man. Think about it. I'm a huge believer in things meant to be. Maybe that guy was just that push from somebody sent your way to say, hey, look, you guys need to be doing this.
Yeah, it's really possible. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, this band has been based on doing stuff people told us we couldn't do. You know, if you've ever been out to Las Vegas, the music scene is really good, but it's kind of, the joke is it's in a time warp. You know, everybody here still thinks it's 1985 at Sunset Strip. So every band, not every band, but a good majority of the bands that were playing out here 6-7 years ago were all doing, you know, 80s covers, Def Leppard, and if I hear Sweet Child of Mine one more time, I'm going to kill myself, you know. And we were like, well, we're going to do 90s grunge. And everybody's like, you're out of your fucking mind. Nobody will listen to that. You know, grunge killed metal, the whole stupid argument. And we started playing, and we got successful, and then we won, you know, best cover band, and then we won it again. We're up to 4 years in a row now we've won this thing. And so basically every time somebody told us, hey, you can't do that, we're like, okay, well, now we're going to do it, you know. Sean was the bass player in the band. And when we lost our lead guitar player, you know, Sean was like, well, maybe I'll play lead guitar now. And people are like, you can't play lead guitar. Well, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So that's just how we operate, you know.
You know, somebody had mentioned to me, and it finally hit me not long ago, that they were kind of right. You know, I've been doing BODS Mayhem Hour for 8 years, and I've been involved in music for a long time. And when they said this, it kind of took me back, but it made sense, though, and I hated to like, God, and say, yeah, that's about right. But today, man, it's like music is not, this is going to be my job. It's more hobbyist. You know what I'm saying? It's more like a hobby now. And it's hard for me to even put that into words and say, well, I'm playing music and it's just more of a hobby, when there's actually bands out there trying to do this to make it an everyday job, but it's just so hard. You have to have another job with this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we couldn't survive. Look, I got my first check 2 weeks ago from BMI. I got like literally $5.68, and this is on a record that's been streamed hundreds of thousands of times.
Good God!
You know, and it's so a decent amount. Anyway, like we haven't, you know, we're not going platinum anytime soon. We're going wood, you know. But you know, we've sold CDs and we've sold, you know, downloads, but the money's not there, and I don't think it ever was there, to be honest with you, because knowing I have a lot of friends that were in the business for as long as I have been, and were a lot more successful than me. And most of them are, you know, working stiffs now. You know, MTV sold everybody a bill of goods. Well, everybody that puts out a record's a millionaire. No, you're not. You're fucking dead up to your eyeballs. Mm-hmm. I was indebted 20 years old, about $150,000 to a record company, you know. So it's definitely not easy. Can it be done? Sure. You have to be lucky, or you have to be willing to starve for a long time. You know, I'm not. You know, the guys in the band, we're not in a position to starve. We have kids, we have mortgages, you know, all that stuff. But we can still do this, and if we make any money off of it, great. If we don't, it's okay. You know, I still go to work in the morning.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making the album post Dystopian Leisure music, if anything, Dominick? Anything about this album that sticks out to you, that surprises you maybe, or impresses you about it?
Well, what impressed me is how we recorded it, because we went to an actual studio. We absolutely could have recorded it in somebody's bedroom. The technology is there. I have a program that I demo on, I use for demos on my laptop. We could have did the entire album that way, and that's what a lot of bands do these days. But we didn't want to do that. We actually sought out an actual recording studio. We went to the National Southwest recording studio out here, which is part of 11th Street Records. And they have a full, big-ass room in the back, and they've got a Triton board from 1972. David Bowie actually used the board that we recorded on. I mean, that's how legit this place is.
Oh, wow.
And yes, it was recorded digitally, but we dumped everything onto 2-inch tape, and we were done. We mixed it onto tape and then put it back into the digital, so you get that, that hissy feel to it. You know what I mean? Like those old records. So what impressed me was, again, people said, "Well, you can't record in a studio," and we're like, "Yeah, we can," because the majority of the way people record these days is, the guitar player lays down his tracks, he copies the file, sends it to the bass player, who lays down his tracks, he copies the file, sends that to the drummer, who barely even plays anymore because they have samplers now, finds a drum beat that works, he puts it on, and then some guy sings into an auto-tune, and then boom, you have a record in a week and a half. We spent 6 fucking months in the studio.
Wow, jeez.
And we played live. I mean, yeah, there's overdubs, don't get me wrong, and we multi-track the guitars, but like the initial basic tracks of every record was the four of us standing in the same room with headphones on and our amplifiers in an isolation booth and just playing, as if we were playing at a rehearsal.
Do you like it this way of the recording, or do you want to actually try to DIY, do it yourself at your own location maybe?
No, I prefer it this way. I work better when I'm not home. I'm very ADD, and if I'm at home, I got to do a recording session, and then I'll fucking have to mow the lawn, whatever, and I'll just forget. I like being secluded in that way, where we're kind of cut off from the world. I like having, Ron Corso engineer the album. I produced it, and Ron was like the guy that kept me in check. Because if you leave me my own devices, forget about it. This would have been like fucking, Tusk or Use Your Illusion. It'd be a double album. There'd be 4,000 instruments on it. So I like having that awareness, because I know when I showed up to that studio, I was there to work. Nothing could distract me. Phone was off. Kids weren't around. I was ready to work, so I prefer it that way. And
I like that you guys went the full-length album route instead of EPs. Don't get me wrong, folks. I like that some bands who don't put out a whole lot of music will just put out an EP. That's fine and good and dandy, but I'm more of an old-school guy. I like to have a full-length album because I don't want to have just that little bit of, little mini candy bar, and I could have just bought a full one and be happy with it,
Yeah, well, I mean, even if it's not a concept album, like it's not Tommy, but every album has a story, whatever it is, how many tracks. We have 10 tracks. Some of them have 14. It tells a story of that particular moment in time for that band, that songwriter, whatever it was. I like having the full story. Doesn't mean every song is great. I mean, some of my favorite albums in the world, there's 1 or 2 songs I'll skip when it comes on, and we expect that with our record too. I mean, I can just tell just by looking at the streaming counts of all the songs. We have some songs that are streamed tens and tens of thousands of times, and I got other songs like, it barely broke 400 this week, So we expected that, but it needed to be complete. And when you do a whole record, to me, it's like, okay, this is everything we've got right now. This is the snapshot of where we are.
I know you said you guys were in the studio for 6 months, but how long did it take to write and complete this album for you guys?
The writing was fairly quick. Let's see. I mean, we started writing in January of 2017, and we started recording by, I think, I want to say it was February of 2018. So within a year, like, we had pretty much had enough material to say, okay, we're going to start recording. But the funny thing is that when we started recording, we didn't have the whole album written. We had, I think, 6 solid songs. These are definites. We had 2 or 3 that, like, we might be able to work on these. And then we had ideas. Already Gone, which was the first single, was literally written while we were in the studio. I mean, I wrote that on a break. Like, I was home for the day, picked up the guitar, wrote it. Next rehearsal, okay, jam this, and we put it on a record like less than a week later. So the start to finish from the writing was about a year, and then the recording process, mixing, mastering took about another 8-9 months.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know you guys are very close to these. I know these are like your babies, your favorite puppies, whatever, but is there any that stand out for you possibly that you like on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Guilt Trip is probably my favorite song on the record, and I think it's the most complete song I've written. It has a good riff. It's got a good, verse and chorus. There's a nice bridge in there. I love it. I played the guitar solo on it, and it's like the only guitar solo I've ever played in my life. I went, wow, that sounds good. So it's a really complete song for me. I don't foresee it ever being released as a single. It's going to be one of those album cuts, that is either going to fade away to obscurity or, maybe it will be resurrected at some point. But I just think it's the most complete song I've written. I love Already Gone too. I think that's a great song, but I also think it's catchy as hell, and it's like, wow, okay, if you need, when Dave heard that song from Shock Records, that was when he went, okay, yeah, I'm going to sign you guys. Like, that's how it went. Because we had sent him a couple of the other songs first. And he was like, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is good. I like this. And then we sent it and went, okay, let's talk. So obviously that song had a lot of meaning,
Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs, which one would be the first single or video you wanted to release or push first? Or was it hands down Already Gone? Or did you actually have some outside help on this? Because like I said, you guys are close to these. Before
Already Gone was recorded, Hey Bitch looked like it was going to be the first single. Dave really liked that song. The band liked it. It was one of the first songs that, like, the rough, when we did what they call a rough mix, it jumped off the CD. It was like, wow, that sounds really good. So we were kind of convinced that was going to be it. And then we wrote Already Gone, and the first time we played it back after we had laid all the vocals and everything down, the engineer, Ron, looked at me and went, okay, that's the single. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds really fucking good. Everybody in the band was like, holy shit. Like, it was a marked difference from the other songs. It wasn't that it was better and the other ones were worse. There was something about it that kind of caught you. And our manager was actually with Dave at the time talking about some other business when we sent over the rough track. And she said, Dave listened to it and went, okay, I need to talk to these guys right now. Like he heard it instantly knew. So once we signed everything, we knew Already Gone was going to be the single immediately.
The new single, Ask Me If I Care, that was a tribute to Pat of the Smithereens. Let's talk about this, how this came about, and plus now the Smithereens have found out about this. So how cool is this for you all?
Oh, man, this is like one of those surreal moments that you think like only happens in a movie. So I was a huge fan of Pat Denizio, the lead singer and songwriter of the Smithereens. Always liked him, loved the band, like always got their CD in. So when he passed away last year, or not too long, it was 2 years now, I was like, oh, fuck, like that sucks. That one hurt. That's somebody I really loved, and I've had other people that I admired pass away before, but that one just really hurt, And I was like, well, I should write something. I didn't want to write a song about him because I didn't know a way to do that, but I figured, well, if I can write something in their style, so Ask Me If I Care is what came out of that. It follows a lot of the Smithereens type of structure. There's a repetitive vocal line. Every line starts with either I used to think or now I don't think. So it's really catchy. The chorus is actually the verse, which is one simple chord change. It's another thing that Pat did a lot because it's just bred familiarity. When I did the guitar solo, I turned all the treble up on my guitar and I raised the bridge up a little bit so that it got this jangly, almost like Rickenbacker sound, which is what Jim used to use in the Smithereens. So it was, it wasn't necessarily about him, but it was based on that. So, now fast forward a couple weeks ago, Dave said, hey, the second single is going to be Ask Me If I Care. Floored us. Nobody saw that one coming, to be honest with you. If you want to talk about that, a surprise, it was that. We were like, really?
Yeah.
Not that we think it's a bad song. We just didn't think it was strong enough to be a single. But he's like, no. He goes, I like that song. I said, pitch that. So like, okay. So we did the single, and we shot the video, and the video was fun, and it was goofy, and, us being idiots. And we put it out, and I started doing press for it. And I did an interview with a UK magazine, and I mentioned, yes, this is a Pat Denizio, blah, 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 and forgot about it. So like 3 days ago, I wake up, I look at my Facebook page, and I got a message from the Smithereens. And they were like, hey, we heard the songs about Pat. We're honored. Thank you so much. Please post it on our website. So I'm like, okay. So we put it out, and then they messaged us again. Hey, we're going to share this, and they started putting it out all over the place. And like every day, they've basically been in contact and saying, hey, we really appreciate this. This was really nice of you, And I was sitting like, I'm fucking thanking you guys.
Yeah.
Number one, for the influence, thank you. And number two, what you're doing now is more publicity than we can ever hope for, And I hate to think of it in that business sense, but the reality is a band doesn't exist if nobody hears about them.
That's
so
true.
To have, a band that I consider, one of the top bands of all time, I'll be saying to their fans, hey, you should check this out. That's amazing.
That's like Metallica coming on my show and then them saying, hey, thank you for having us on your show, blah, blah, blah. No, you guys saved my life.
Exactly. Like, I'm just like I'm I'm floored by it, and not only am I floored by it, like everybody that I know is like, that's really cool. You know?
That is, man.
Tell me it's so cool.
Yeah, that's cool when a band that you've looked up to and you pay a little tribute like that actually gives a shit, because there's some out there, they don't care. You know just as well as I do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so cool. That is absolutely cool, man. So congrats on that, Dom.
Thank you.
What do you hope everyone takes away from these two singles, or message you hope to hear while listening to any of Wicked Garden's music in general?
I want them to realize that people still do this. You know, like kind of like what I explained before about how it's so easy to make a song now. I want people to realize that there's still a possibility for four guys to go into a garage and play good rock and roll. And there's no computers in it. There's no auto-tune in it. You know, we didn't sample anything. And when people hear that, I want them to go, well, shit, I can do that too, whether they're 50 or they're 15, you know, because that's what's lost right now. It's like I'm not going to be the guy that slags on every new band. Like, there's some new bands that I like. But I don't ever see a band that go, wow, that really made me want to pick up a guitar, because 9 out of 10 times you can hear the fucking guitar, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this, I mean, I've actually had people out here in Las Vegas, you know, message me and say, hey, I'm starting a band now because I saw what you guys did. And he's like, I didn't want to play in cover bands, and I didn't want to play, you know, 80s metal, and I didn't want to play the new metal bullshit, but you guys are just playing good indie rock, and I want to do that. I'm like, fucking go for it, you know. So if they grab that, then it's worth it.
You are very right, good sir. There's a lot of stuff out there where you just hear the guitar just a little bit, and then you're going, where'd it go?
Yeah,
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Exactly. Post Dystopian Leisure music was produced by Ron Corso. Working with him, did he get something out of you guys that possibly maybe nobody else could have gotten out of you all?
I think he put us on a good course. You know, I came in literally with a notebook of shit. You know, here's the microphones I want to use. Here's the amplifiers I want to use. Here's how I want to record this song. Here's how I want to record that song, you know, because I'm a scatterbrain and I'm a control freak. And Ron basically was like, okay, we can try all of this, but we're going to have to go through each thing to make sure it works, you know? So, you know, like there was certain types of microphones I wanted to use. We'd hook those up, we'd, you know, play something, send it back, and Ron's like, that doesn't work. You know, let's find something else. Why don't we try this, you know? So for me personally, what he got at me was he got my fucking scatterbrainness and my control freakiness, kind of got it in check. And was able to say, I know what you want to do. Here's how we're going to do it. You know, for the other guys in the band, he was like that. He was like a coach. He was like, yeah, you did that good. Go do it again. Do it a little bit better. Say this louder, whatever it was, you know. So we worked really well together, and I wanted to give him you know, he settles for a co-producer's credit, which most people fight for those, you know, because I was like, hey, man, you produced this with me. I want to put, you know, give me a co-producer. I don't give a shit. Like that's just the type of guy he is, you know. But he really brought out a lot of stuff I didn't hear even, you know, like especially when it came to me playing like the lead guitar solos that I play, he really like sat me down and we structured it out. Okay, I'm going to do 8 bars of this, play it. Okay, good. Now play 8 bars of this, play that, you know, and then we pieced it together at the end and okay, now play the whole thing. So that really helped with that, you know.
Could you see Wicked Garden working with him again on the next album?
I have no problem with that at all if he's available. I hope he's really busy though, because he's a good dude. And I know his studio gets a lot of work. I know the Killers recorded out there. Anti-Flag recorded there. Imagine Dragons, I think, did some work there. So it's not like he's, you know, starving for work. But if it's available and we have the budget again and we can do it, yeah, absolutely.
God, I love Anti-Flag. Oh, God. If anybody's not listening to their music, go check them out. I love their music.
You know, it's a really cool piece of trivia. So they did a live album from that studio. It's called Live from 11th Street Records. So not only did Ron produce that, my fiance actually did all the photography on it too. So if you buy the album, that's all her pictures and everything. So it's a nice little contained unit there.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Who did the cool artwork for the album for you guys?
That was my son. And my boy is kind of like one of those internet geniuses, you know. Sean's wife is also a photographer. She took a picture. Sean had the idea of the album cover, which was the gas mask with headphones on. So she took what we call the naked picture, which was basically the gas mask with headphones against a black background. And we stared at it for 3 hours going, what the fuck are we going to do with this? You know?
Yeah.
So I gave it to my boy. I said, hey, you know, Nicholas, I'm like, see what you can do with this. And he was like, all right, Dad. And like an hour later, he came out, what do you think? And we were like, holy shit, yeah, that's exactly what it should look like, you know? So he does, I'm going to say at this point, 90% of our art and our graphics. He designs our T-shirts. He did the logos. He did the album cover. He shoots our videos. He edits our videos. I mean, the kid's like ridiculous, you know.
Dominick with a proud papa moment.
That's right, man.
That's
you
cool.
know it.
That's cool, keeping it in-house like that. That's awesome. Everybody has a part in it. That's cool.
It's also cheaper too. I think the first video cost me $150, and I had to take him out to Olive Garden, so it worked out really good.
Oh, it's awesome. Do you see this band still musically growing from where it started as a cover band, or has it just been more of a personal growth for all of you guys involved in Wicked Garden?
It's been both. I mean, the band's still growing because we've already got the second album pretty much written. You know, we're just waiting for Vanity. I'm sorry, Vanity Music Group is the parent. Shock Records is the imprint label. We're waiting for them to say, hey, you guys have sold enough that you can go ahead and make another one. You know, that day may not come, but it looks like we're getting there. So that part's already written. So the band is still growing because the music is still growing. I mean, like the newer stuff is not, it's still in the same vein. It still has that indie, alternative, grungy type thing, but there's definitely a maturity there, you know, and the other guys in the band, Sean, especially Troy and Jay now as well, are contributing more. I'm not trying to say they didn't on this record. They definitely did. But 90% of the record was either me or me and Sean, and then those guys added their parts. Now they're physically showing up to rehearsal, like, hey, let's jam on this, you know? So they're growing with that as well. I'm growing as somebody that's allowing people to take brains. I'm not trying not to be that crazy control freak anymore, you know? It used to be, no, we're going to do it this way, guys. Now it's like, all right, let's try it your way, see if it works. You know, so I'm growing that way. So it's working out well.
But are you liking this, though, of letting go of the reins to see what everybody's bringing to the songs now?
That's a hard one, dude. How can I explain this and not sound like a jerk-off? Let's put it this way. I don't collaborate well, okay? Most of the songs that I write complete. I write all the guitar, I write all the vocals. I'll have an idea for the drums. I'll show Troy what I need him to play on bass. If Sean, Troy, or Jay comes up with a song and says, hey, I need help, I can work with them. I can't bring something and go, hey, Sean, can you work on this? And that's a me issue. I don't collaborate very well at all with my own stuff. I'll help you with your stuff any time of the day, but for my stuff, it's like, I just do it on my own. So now that they're coming in with their own ideas and it's coming to fruition, I'm going, wow, they really don't need me to put my shit all over everything. You know, Sean has written a couple songs that are going to be on this record that just blow my fucking mind. I mean, he's obviously a good songwriter. He wrote I-15 on our record now, which is one of the best songs on the record. I mean, the guy's definitely got chops, you know. But even Troy, who's been very reserved about it, because he was afraid, and he's admitted this, so I'm not calling him out, he was afraid that the style of music that he likes to write wouldn't fit with us. Well, we're like, well, bring us something. So he brought in 2 songs. I'm like, holy shit, this sounds great, you know? So it's getting there, and I'm definitely, you know, allowing other people to grow. Are
there any songs that didn't make this album that's going to be possibly on the next album down the road?
Yeah, there's a couple, and they didn't make it not because they weren't good. They just weren't done. You know, we kind of put ourselves in a time crunch because once we signed the deal, we had a deadline of when the album needed to be delivered. So there was a couple of songs that if we had a little bit more time, they would have been on it. And we just said, you know what, we'll just hold on to this for the next record. So nothing was cut because it wasn't good enough. It just was cut because it wasn't ready. So yeah, but there'll definitely be other, you know, some new songs on that record from this one.
You know, I know no one's reinventing the wheel, but in your own opinion, what does Wicked Garden bring to the table for music that's not out there right now, if anything? What are you guys adding to that wheel?
Reality, just absolute reality. Like I said before, it's 4 guys in a room playing. That's what it is. When you go to see a Wicked Garden show, we can do everything we did on the record because it's us. You know, there's no machines, there's nothing. So there's plenty of bands out there, and I know some of them on a personal level, and I'm not going to call them out by name, but I've heard their records and went, wow, this sounds amazing. And then I go see them live, and it's like, why do I hear 14 guitars and there's only one on stage? Well, because everything's tracked, you know? Or the singer has a fucking a vocalizer on stage to do his harmonies, you know, or the drummer has triggers going for his drums and he's got a backing track. We don't do any of that. So I want people to realize, hey, this is what a real band sounds like, and sometimes there's warts on it. You know, like if you listen to the record, there's a couple like hiccups where we go, ooh, we probably could have taken that out, and this is where Ron came in. He's like, no, fuck it, that's rock and roll, leave that in there. there's one song where we speed up like 5 beats per minute in the second verse, and we were playing with a click track, and we still sped up, and he was like, no, that sounded real, leave that alone, So it's definitely real. That's what I would say. I hope people grab from that.
And I don't mean this in a bad way, and I hope no bands are, taking me, knocking them or anything, because I'm not. This is just how it is. You know this as well as I do, Dominick. Some bands are just made for albums, and some bands are just more of a live band. That's just how it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I like to think that we're one of the bands that can do both. I know we're a good live band, and we've been hearing that for years. We've won awards for it, so that I didn't have a doubt in my mind. The wild card was the record, and the response that we've seen since it came out. Like, we have literally had 2 negative reviews in a year, and that's things that I expected a bunch. I expected the press to rip us apart on a couple of those, but even the ones that gave us like a bad review, they still said, well, for what they do, it's good, but this is not what's relevant right now, and they sound too dated. Well, okay, that's fine. That was what we're going for, So I think we can cut it both ways. I hope we can. I think we do.
What can fans expect at a show from Wicked Garden who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get when they come to see you all?
If they go to see a complete show, and when I say complete, I mean that we're playing covers and originals, it's long and psychotic. We do 4-hour shows sometimes with no breaks because we think we're James Brown. I don't know why, but and we'll play. Not only do we don't strictly play just grunge from the '90s. We play other things too, and we'll pull shit out of our ass that people are like, wow. Like, we did a show last week where we did "Rock Me Amadeus" by Falco. And we did "Synchronicity 2" by the Police. So we'll pull stuff like that out there. The original shows, you're going to hear a good portion of the CD plus some of the newer stuff that's going on the other record, and it's energetic. There's very little downtime in the set. We don't really stop to bullshit. Like, we'll say hello and stuff like that. We just keep going because we always thought that if you stop, people lose interest. So, like, when we do those 4-hour shows, like, we're literally just not stopping, We'll take requests. We'll have people scream stuff out, and we're like, okay, and even if we don't know it, we're going to fake it. And we'll start doing that. It's a fun time. It's a lot of fun.
So what made you want to become a musician? What was it spark for you, Dominick, that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there?
It was because of my dad. My dad was a musician in the 70s and 60s. He was a guitar player and a singer in a band, and I can vividly remember being 2 and 3 years old, sitting in my playpen watching his band practice. So I thought that was cool because it was my dad. I was like, wow, that's interesting. And then when I was 3, my dad took me to my first concert, which was the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, nice.
So fucking check that out, And then, and like in one summer, he took me to see like the Doobie Brothers, and then we saw Chuck Berry, and then I think we saw the Cars, and then I saw Bob Seger, like all this crazy shit. So as a little impressionable kid, I went, so my dad is as cool as those guys. Like, that's how I really believed it. I thought my dad was a rock star too. He just happened to play, in a bar. So, most kids, if they have a good upbringing like I did, well, they want to be like my dad. I wanted to be like my dad. My dad was a rock star. That's what I wanted to be. And then later on, as I learned the business and learned the differences, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want. I need a way for people to have all eyes on me for 45 minutes and then ignore me for the rest of the day.
So far, has there been a country that stands out or shocks you that Wicked Garden gets support from, or your music right now is getting played in that area that you've seen with these 2 singles possibly?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that, these singles do well. Like Already Gone did very well worldwide. It charted in Australia. It went number 1 on a couple stations out there. It charted in France. It charted in, I think, some Scandinavian country. It might have been Sweden. I don't know. So, like, worldwide, it actually did very well. What blew us away, though, is there's a song on the record called Stained, which is actually the first song that I wrote for the band. That was one of those songs that was filmed that got us the record deal. That song is absolutely going to be a B-side. There's no intention of releasing the single. For some reason, about 3 months ago, the song exploded in Asia and Africa. Like, it was getting literally thousands and thousands of streams every single day. And from some countries, I couldn't even pronounce some of them. Like they had Qatar, which, I knew which one that was. But, like, there was actually other, like Cairo, Madagascar was getting played in.
Wow.
So it was just really weird because at that point, we did well in North and South America. That was no problem. Europe, we were doing pretty good. And Asia was kind of spotty. We had nothing in Africa. And then all of a sudden, started getting played everywhere. In Sri Lanka, Johannesburg was registering 1,000 hits a day. And I'm just like, where did this go? And then as quickly as it happened, it kind of went away. It's slowed down now. It only gets a few streams a day. So, that was just like, do they even have fucking radios in Madagascar? I have no idea.
That's crazy.
I mean, every time, yeah. I mean, like some of these, like Burma and I mean, I don't want to be rude, but like some countries that you would assume are third world countries,
Right.
That they go, do they have computers? And that's a very stupid American way of looking at things, but that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I didn't even know they had fucking internet out there, and they're fucking streaming our song.
That's
and
awesome.
then I get fan mail from people from there, and I get messages on Facebook written in these weird languages where I had to get Google Translate because I have no idea what they're saying,
Yeah.
So that blows me. To this day, that blows me away.
What has been one of the coolest emails that you've gotten from overseas like that that's kind of maybe inspired you guys?
I got a Facebook message from a woman in Brazil, and she was telling me how she had, I mean, it was like a weird story, like her mother had passed, and she had this emergency surgery, and her friend had brought her in a, I don't want to say an MP3 player because those basically exist anymore. I guess it was an old phone that you can stream stuff on. She didn't even have a phone, and her friend introduced her to Spotify, and she somehow came across our band. It was just one of those things, Spotify just sends stuff out. And she liked it so much that she downloaded the whole album. That's all she listens to. And she sent me a message saying, whenever I'm feeling sad and whenever I'm in pain, I listen to your record and it makes me feel better. And I was just like, holy shit, like that's incredible. That got me.
Is there a band on the bucket list that you would like to tour with, or maybe even do an old school album split with, possibly? If you have one, maybe.
Yeah, get me Jerry Cantrell for an hour. Put me in a room with Jerry Cantrell and let's see what happens, because that guy is, I can't even describe what he means. I mean, from a songwriting standpoint, from a guitar playing standpoint, from a melody writer. Yeah, I would love it. If my manager called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, you gonna tour with Alice in Chains?" I would just die. Like, fuck it, I'm just gonna die right now. Yeah.
I just had William Duvall on the show a couple weeks ago, and you got to check out. Everybody needs to check out his new solo album. I hate to do a.
Oh, it's so good.
It is
so good.
It is. That album is. There's not a bad song on it. Every song keeps getting better and better.
No, and it's funny, like even like the stuff, like a lot of people don't realize it. When he did From the Fall back in, I think it was '97, that shit was good too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't just some dude like that was like busking on the streets. I mean, the guy had a career. He wrote all the songs for Dion Ferris and everything, but he's so good, and he's really coming to his own. I don't know if he's coming to his own, but like that's a hard gig, man. I mean, if Nirvana called me up tomorrow and said, "Hey, we want you to replace Kurt Cobain," I'd be like, "Oh, fuck me. I don't know if I can do it." And this guy just stepped in and just made it his own. And I saw them twice last year. They were phenomenal. I mean, they were just as good or better than when I saw them with Lane back in 1991. And that's hard to say because I love Lane. Right. But he wasn't in very good shape when I saw them. So it was definitely a much better show now.
And the cool part with Duvall being in Alice in Chains, it's William Duvall. It's him doing his own thing. He's not trying to be Lane Staley, which to me, he's done, I think, Lane justice, in my own opinion.
Absolutely. You're not going to see an Alice in Chains cover band. You're going to see a band with a great lead singer who happens to do some of their own stuff, and he does it well. And he never what I love about him, he never oversings. I mean, Lane Staley is not easy to sing as a singer. I mean, we do a lot of Alice in Chains songs. And he sang in perfect fourths. He sang in sixths. There's real weird stuff. That's why it's so hard to sing like him. And I've seen bands out here try to do the songs and they just oversell it. Like, they're just screaming at the top of the lungs. Like, no, that's not what he did. He screamed, but he had a reservedness to him. And William just goes up there and just says, "Fuck, I'll do it my way." It sounds amazing.
There was some guy that I saw a couple months ago on YouTube, and he's a young guy. Just killed it. I mean, you honestly thought you was actually listening to Lane Staley. And I was going, holy crap. I mean, this guy was good, really good. But
there's a guy, I went to Seattle 2 years ago for the Lane Staley. They do a memorial concert every year. And I went up. I had friends playing it that year. And there's a guy named Travis Beck. And Travis has been in Seattle forever. He played with My Sister's Machine for a little while. Very well known up in Seattle. He didn't get the recognition that all the other bands did, but the guy's been, a trooper there for years. he came out and did Junkhead, and my fucking jaw dropped. I was just like, I can't believe what I just heard. You know, the most amazing thing I've ever heard. It sounded just like it, but still sounded like Travis, and it was just incredible, man. It was unbelievable.
When you were younger, did you have that go-to album or song that just let you escape, or do you have that today possibly?
Yeah, I got a few of those. I mean, go-to albums, it depends on mood, you know, or even songs depend on mood. If I'm in a mellow mood, Seasons of Wither by Aerosmith. I will put that on and listen to it forever. Alice in Chains, Heaven Beside You, one of my favorite songs of all time. If I feel like I want to rip somebody's arms off, I'll put on Wind Up by the Foo Fighters off their second record, or I'll put on Lounge Act by Nirvana off the Nevermind album if I'm feeling kind of like, you know, antsy. So yeah, there's tons of them, and they kind of just go all over the place with me. You know, I mean, there's still some albums that I will listen to from start to finish, but just everything with me is mood based.
Folks, you want to get out and check out Wicked Garden's singles Already Gone and their newest single, Ask Me If I Care, off their debut album from Shock Records, post Dystopian Leisure Music. You want to get out and check that out. Dominick, my friend, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy this album, tour dates, things like that when all this happens? How can they do that?
Well, you can do everything can go through our main website, which is wickedgardenlv.com. LV is in Las Vegas. We're on Facebook at Wicked Garden LV. Twitter, Instagram is all Wicked Garden LV. You can buy the record either directly from Vanity Music Group, Big Cartel. You can buy it on Amazon, Spotify, iTunes. It's at Walmart. It's in music stores. You can buy the physical copies in your mom and pop store. It's literally everywhere. So if you just do a search for it, you'll find a way to buy it. So please do, and please do.
and before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for the show?
I'd love to. Hey, this is Dominick from Wicked Garden. You listen to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Please get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link, and soon our Twitch link. Please, also, it's vital, get out and check out our YouTube link and subscribe to it, because anything and everything BODS Mayhem Hour will be going up on that, and plus the podcast as always. And I like to say this before we end. Today is the day that we tragically lost one of the greatest bass players in heavy metal history, in my opinion. That was Mr. Clifford Lee Burton of Metallica. So, good sir, wherever you're at, I hope that you are now playing music with Vinnie Paul and Dime and all the guys that we've lost and ladies that we've lost. So I hope you guys have a killer band. I would love to have seen Cliff Burton with Dime and Vinnie. I mean, that would have been something special.
It's like the best line I ever heard was, "Heaven's got a hell of a band."
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Folks, you want to get out, and like I said previously, you want to get out and pick up Wicked Garden's new album, Post Dystopian Leisure Music, which is out now via Shock Records. And also check out their singles Already Gone and Ask Me If I Care. Dominick, thank you so much for being on the show. I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, my friend.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.